Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to learn the lesson called The Treasure Within, which was adopted from Sparsh newsletter. It was a story of Mr. Hafiz, who was a student in the Valley School, Bangalore. After his studies, he became a contractor and he grown as one of the India's leading architects now. Hafiz contractor was a very unhappy schoolboy. In the first and second year, he was a good student. From the third standard onwards, he seemed to have lost all interest in studies. He was particularly afraid of mathematics. He had nightmares about maths examination. He dreamt of preparing in the examination, not knowing anything at all about the subject. As a student contractor, Mr. Hafiz was interested in games and playing jokes and others. He was a very good sportsman. He was the senior champion for many years. He was also the captain of his school cricket team. Mr. Hafiz passed his examinations only by copying. However, when he approached his 11th class, the principal called him and said, "Look here, son, I have been seeing you since day one. You are a good student, but you are never steady. I have taken care of you till today. Now I can no longer take care of you. So you have to take care of yourself." School principal talked to him for a 5 minutes. He exhorted contractor to rise to the occasion and study. The principal's advice had the desired effect on Mr. Hafiz. He would go for prayers and all he would do was eat and study. As a result, he got 50% in SSC examination. Contractor was being interviewed by Miss Bela Raja. She asked him if he was punished at school. The contractor replied that the teachers pulled him up regularly. He would receive a caning every week. However, he never felt anything on that account. He was more interested in playing. Mr. Hafiz was just interested in playing and nothing else. He was also the leader of a gang. He would have gang fights and plan strategies. These things interested him more than the books. One day, he did not want to study, so he created a distraction. For one whole hour, they played chore and police. After the school, Mr. Hafiz wanted to join the army. His aunt would not allow him. His mother will not allow him to join police force either. She asked him to do his graduation. It was by using some influences that he got admission in Jai Hind College. There he had to study French. Being weak at French, He had to take his married cousin's help. Her husband was an architect, so he started going to an architect's office to learn French. One day, in architect's office, he saw somebody drawing a window detail. The window detail is a very advanced drawing. Mr. Hafiz told him that his drawing was wrong. He added that the window he had drawn would not open. There was a bet which Mr. Hafiz won. This surprised his cousin's husband. He asked him to draw a few specific things. Mr. Hafiz did that at once. The man was so impressed that he asked the contractor to drop everything and join architecture. That architect took him to the principal of that college. In the college for architecture, nobody who had got below 80 to 90% was allowed to enter. The contractor had only 50%. Contractor, in a sense, Mr. Hafiz. Hafiz had only 50%. So the principal warned him, I will allow you to take part in the entrance examination, but if you do not do well, I will not allow you to join this college. Hafiz got an A plus in that entrance examination. After that, he was a cake walk. He stood first class, first throughout after that. Mr. Hafiz never made a plan. One of his teacher, Mrs. Gupta, had told him, you are useless in everything, but your sketches are superb. She had advised him to be an architect and growing up. When he became one, he went back to meet her and told her so. Mr. Hafiz was bad at languages. His maths was also very bad. In fact, he never applied his mind to them. He was in a boarding school where every day was a new day for him. When there were no tests, he just copied. Those who always stood first or second in his school are doing ordinary jobs. As for himself, the school life made him street smart. He learnt more by what he did than what the books taught him. At school, Mr. Hafiz was interested in other things and not in books. If it rained outside the class, he would think of the flowing water. He would forget the lecture and think about the flow of water within the dam. He would wonder how much water would the dam hold. Discipline in his school was very important. Sometimes a student would lose a button while fighting. In that case, he would run to Hafiz. Contractor would cut a button from a chalk using a blade. No one could then see that his real button was missing. He would get past dinner with a full neat uniform. Today, when a client comes to Mr. Hafiz, he looks at him closely. He would observe his face, clothes, and manners. That gives him an idea of his taste. He is able to people in a way that would be comfortable. Then he makes a sketch spontaneously. He gives it to his people in the office. Contractor says his sketches are his mathematics. He puts design, construction, psychology, and sociology together, making a sketch from all that is Mr. Huffy's definition of mathematics.